Hi everybody, this is Joshua Kirk back with you once again on YouTube, and now it's time for episode 15 of Album of the Day. And before I start this review, I just wanted to tell you that I have another new music poster on the wall because I went to yet again another concert. I went to go see Enter the Haggis, this band from Toronto, Canada, at the Barns at Wolf Trap in Vienna, Virginia. That was on, I think it was on March 9th, and it was a great show, had a lot of fun, lots of energy, and I even got a pre-released early copy of their new album, The Modest Revolution. And I'll hopefully talk about the band in another video soon. But anyways, aside from that, let's go on to the review. So today's artist is a group from Concord, North Carolina, sort of a folk rock, indie rock, rock and roll trio called the Avett Brothers, consisting of Scott Avett, Seth Avett, and Bob Crawford, along with touring musicians Kwon on cello, and Jacob Edwards on drums. So today I'm going to be talking about their new album, pretty much their 6th full-length album overall. The album is called The Carpenter. This album was released on American Recordings label, along with, this is the first album that they've released on Universal Republic Records, and this is the second album they've released on American Recordings after leaving Ramsar Records for their older releases. You know, Caroline Jubilee, Four Thieves Gone, Midnight, and Emotionalism. So anyway, here's the front of here. Really nice cover art on here. And I actually pre-ordered this CD because I was really stoked for it, had some anticipation for it, and I expected it to come on the day it came out, which was September 11th, 2012, but I got it a day early, and when I got it a day early, I felt really lucky, so I'd like to thank Amazon for sending me the CD a day early, since I've been really excited for it for a while. Spine, the other spine, and the back of the album. Songs on here are The Once and Future Carpenter, Live and Die, which is a single, Winter in My Heart, Pretty Girl from Michigan, I Never Knew You, February 7, Through My Prayers, Down with the Shine, A Father's First Spring, Geraldine, Paul Newman vs. the Demons, and Life. And this is produced by Rick Rubin, who also produced their last album, I Am Lovin' You, released in 2009, which won an award for Best Folk Rock Album of the Year in 2011 during the Grammy Awards. And they also did a performance along with Bob Dylan and Mumford & Sons during the awards too. And I'm going to show you inside. Inside it's like a city, and like there's like the album art without the title banner on it. And now I'm going to show you the, and then there's a booklet in here. I'm going to show you the inside, and inside there's lyrics, which is great, because for some reason a lot of bands these days don't put lyrics on their albums, which I find really weird, but oh, whatever. At least I still have the album, because as long as I have that and the album's good, I'm fine. It's got like footage of the band in the studio. And at the end of the booklet, it looks like a photo of Scott on the piano or something like that in the studio. And then there's the credits, such as the band members, production, engineering, additional musicians, thank yous, and stuff like that. CD's hard to get out. There we go. And there's the CD itself. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the album now. There are definitely a few differences from this album and I Am Loving You because, one, the band has worked on it longer, so I guess they pretty much been working on it for a couple of years now. I think that's why people had some anticipation for it. Two, they've definitely played like a bunch of shows. They played like 1,000 shows. And two, this album was a little more guitar driven than I Am Loving You, because I Am Loving You was a more piano, romantic ballad driven type album. And I love this album, and it happens to be one of my favorites of 2012 in my opinion. Maybe not the best album of the year, but it's definitely still close to getting on that list because this is a great album. I actually like it a little more than I Am Loving You. So much more energy to it, less ballads, leads to it, and I think the more time they spent on it, I feel like the better the album has gotten. Not to say I didn't like I Am Loving You, like I will admit, I really liked that one too. Just saying that, I think I've listened to this one a little more than that album, I will admit. So, I guess I'll go straight to the tracks now. So the first track on here is the Once and Future Carpenter, which is a perfect way to open the album, because it sort of gives you a clue of what the album is going to sound like overall. Since it's got this really mellow acoustic guitar type feel to it, not as much banjo as the Avett Brothers' other stuff, but there's like a little more acoustic guitars, and I actually really don't have a big complaint about less banjo on here than guitar. I know some people may have sort of a criticism about it, but I don't mind that because the album still is great, even though could have used a little more banjo on it. And the lyrics sort of shows how how we were all just built to, go through some things in life, like careers, and sometimes you just kind of have to retire and just move on with your life and kind of think about what will happen in the future. So it sort of talks about like Scott Avett is sort of creating this character who was once a carpenter, got off of that business, and it says like maybe he may be a carpenter in the future. Since the Carpenter is a pretty good title for the album because there are definitely references to building in here and stuff like that. It sort of shows how we were all just built to just live our lives and just sort of move on and just sort of think about what will happen in the future. The single off of the album is called Live and Die, which is a perfect single because it's a really upbeat, bouncy song. Love that banjo on there. You can easily tell it's an Avett Brothers song when you hear that banjo playing. It definitely sounds friendly enough to get played on the radio, like I'm pretty sure this song is getting some radio airplay at the moment. Starts out with just a banjo and acoustic guitar, and then eventually it starts to build up, and I love the chorus on that one, really catchy. great harmonies on that one. Another interesting thing about this song is the slide electric guitar in here. Really nice addition, just adds flavor without overpowering anything. And this is definitely one of the finest singles of the year, I will say that. Winter in My Heart is a little more melancholy, but it's still a great song, and the lyrics is it's a sort of a song about depression, about how for some people, even if it's really warm outside, it can be really cold where they live, and hard for them to find a warmth for that, and just sort of try to forget about that feeling. Beautifully done song. Love Kwon's cello line on here. Really beautiful, just soaring through the track ends. And then in the middle of this song, there's like a solo of an instrument, like this weird. I think I'm hearing it's actually a musical saw that I'm hearing, like this really spooky musical saw solo in the middle of it. You could say the song kind of drags on, or you could either say you're getting overwhelmed by heavy sadness in the lyrics, but I'm not really that overwhelmed by it. I'm just as a beautiful song, and they're just making it beautiful in the sense of how you can just enjoy the song and not feel like you're being overwhelmed by emotional themes in the lyrics. Pretty Girl from Michigan is another great one. Has kind of a 50s rock type feel to it, and this song, they pretty much developed every song on here. Half of the album is pretty young. I'm pretty sure Live and Die was pretty much the last song that they wrote for the album. And then other songs are very old songs that they either tried to record for the last few records, performed at various live shows, or either tried to develop. This song is pretty old. It's about 7 years old. They recorded it for a radio show one time. They've tried to record it for the last two albums, and they've had constant instrumentation changes, tempo changes, name changes. And I think this is sort of how they're pretty much going to be playing this song from now on, if they perform it live, with Scott on piano, Seth on electric guitar, all these layered electric guitars in here, and then the bridge, and then it sort of drops down on the bridge, all of the instruments drop out except for the piano and the layered cello, and some layered cellos on here too. So yeah. It's another really catchy song, and definitely a fun song to just jump around to. I Never Knew You has more of an early Beatles tinge type feel to it. A lot of this album actually has sort of a catchy Beatles jangle feel to them. And this song, I think, is pretty much the most Beatles-esque on here. Especially with all the backups and the 60s rock energy that it has. Rock energy. This is another pretty old one. I think Seth probably wrote it 10 plus years ago. And then he sort of started out just with this one line, and then started doing more lyrics for the song in 2004. Sat around for several years, and then one night they played it at a ballroom or something like that. So it was the first time they had officially played it live and officially played the song. And I can see that when they came in to do this one in the studio, they sort of had more excitement for it then. It definitely sounds like the Beatles. Definitely sounds like the Beatles stuff from Please Please Me, stuff like that. Especially with all the vocal harmonies that have been recorded of like Scott, Seth, and Bob have recorded like these layered vocal harmonies on here. Cool harmonies on here. It's sort of a call and response type thing, especially on the verses. Okay, so I'm pretty much done talking about that song. And it has kind of a jangly, I think it has, I could swear that this song probably sounds like it could be a Christmas song, except it's a song, except it's I Never Do You, but there's like things going on, like there's some chimes in here, like some bells going on in here, which makes it sound like it could be a Christmas song easily. But instead it's a song that they've recorded for the album called I Never Knew You. February 7 is another one of my favorites on here. It's a pretty straightforward song, you know, like there's some pretty simple acoustic guitars on here. Pretty much the most important thing to listen to is the lyrics. Lyrics like how you sort of, you know, you've gotten through like it's kind of like waiting for something to begin, like you're all rested and you're ready and you're done dreaming and like you're trying to just move on and just, once again, this is sort of a song about thinking about what's going to happen with you probably in the future. Sure, in here. And recently they performed this song on David Letterman, and on about a month ago they performed it on David Letterman, and I will admit that performance was amazing. And they also did a new video for that song too. And they did a video for Live and Die too, so I'm guessing February 7th is probably their next single after Live and Die. A little more mellow, a little more straightforward than Live and Die, but definitely something that will definitely have that radio appeal. Through My Prayers, once again, another slow, melancholy ballad. This is definitely one of the more emotional moments on the album, because as Seth mentions, this song, it's sort of about like how like lost you may feel, especially if someone you love but never really told them out loud about it passes away. Like, believe it or not, this actually sounds like something that maybe could be such an appropriate song to get played at someone's funeral or something like that, since it kind of has that vibe if you get that envision in your mind. There's definitely melancholy to this song, while still having some hope at the same time, so you may start out feeling a little emotional at first, but as the song goes on, you may just have to just let go of that mood and just think about how hopeful the song is too. Like, I will admit there are some pretty hopeful songs on the album too. Down with the Shine actually sounds like something that maybe could have been taken out of an old school Avett Brothers album. In fact, they've been performing this song for a few years live. You can tell this sounds like old school Avett Brothers, like something from Carolina Jubilee or something like that. Especially the banjo and like the acoustic guitar. And then eventually it starts to build up, and like there's some bass and then there's some drums with a horn section to back it up, which is really cool. Because the band uses such unique instrumentation, that's one of the things that makes them probably one of the most special bands I've known in a while. So this is another great song on the album. A Father's First Spring is a little more laid back, which really fits on the album, because the album overall is kind of like, there's some really catchy tunes that kind of leave you just jumping around the whole time, so you kind of need a breather here, and I think the song sort of symbolizes that. Well, this is that, and it sort of talks about, like, how, like, sometime, you may just kind of control everything about yourself when, you tell you just can't live without someone, but then you just sort of realize that, like, I think it sort of shows that especially on the lyric, I do not live lest I live in your light, kind of like that, and then, there's some beautiful string assemble going on in here, and some really sweet harmonies on here, too, these two, and Seth doing, like, this little finger-picking pattern on the guitar. It actually sounds like, yeah, it kind of has sort of a Neil Young tinge to it. Geraldine is a little more fast, a little more fast-going, a little more easy-going. It's a good song. It's really nice and catchy, but I feel like the song kind of ends too soon. Like, sometimes songs are so good, they kind of fly by a little bit. Not saying this is a bad song. Like, this is a good song. Just kind of flew a little bit. It was kind of like, done. Kind of like that. Paul Newman versus the Demons is definitely a standout for me on the album. Got this really cool art rock feel to it, especially with all these layered electric guitars and then this organ accompanying it. Has kind of I think it actually kind of sounds like something that maybe Rush would do. Kind of has that feel, if you kind of think of the band listening to this song. Definitely very strong and very powerful, and definitely one that I will revisit again and again. And the last track on the album is a song called Life, which is the perfect way to close the album, because the album is kind of a folk rock album that's really energetic and has, like, some punk rock energy to it. Like, the energy kind of sounds like the energy of the Ramones. So you kind of need a more laid-back closer on here. So I thought this is a perfect way to close the album. This is the album, and it's pretty straightforward, too. There's this beautiful soaring cello line going on in there. Line going on in here from Kwon. Like, he's such a great member, such a great addition to the group, because his cello playing really does help take sort of the banjo, guitar, stand-up bass, pop of the Avett Brothers to, like, a whole new level and a whole new edge. Like, this is pretty much the first album where Scott was playing, like, a substantial acoustic guitar. Stick guitar, which makes the album edgier overall. So overall, I think this album is really good. So I'm gonna talk about my favorite songs on here. My favorite track on here would have to be the single "Live and Die" because it's just so catchy. Other favorites, we look on the CD to see what other ones I like. I like February 7, The Once and Future Carpenter, Pretty Girl from Michigan, I Never Knew You, Paul Newman versus the Demons, Father's First Spring, Down with the Shine, and Winter in My Heart pretty much round out my favorites. So I can give this one an 8 out of 10, because this is definitely an album, like, the production on it is very clean, which I really like, because of Rick Rubin. Been producing the album. So, yeah. if you're a huge Avett Brothers fan, I implore you to go check out the album and go buy the album. In fact, Rolling Stone topped it as one of the top albums of the year, and it's been topping the Billboard charts too. So I highly recommend it. So that's gonna wrap it up for episode 15 of Album of the Day, and stay tuned for episode 16.